This is Time Signatures with Jim Ervin, a podcast and radio program presented by the Capital Area Blues Society in Lansing, Michigan.
Driving up and down these Michigan roads, yeah.
And now, here he is, your host, Jim Ervin.
Baby, I'm home.
Well, hi there, everyone, and welcome. Thank you, Parker. I'm your host, Jim Ervin, and this is Time Signatures. It's another crazy busy week, and as I've said a few times now, there's a ton of great new albums either in the music world released at this moment or about to be released as artists begin their annual blues festival circuit in the Midwest United States. Today's guest is a Tampa, Florida native and winner of the 2013 International Blues Challenge in the band category. He also won the Albert King Guitarist of the Year award that same year. He was signed to the Alligator label in 2014, and his debut album, Don't Call No Ambulance, won the Blues Music Award the following year for Best New Artist Album. He joins us today not only to celebrate a great newly released album, but he's also going to be coming into Michigan a couple of times this year, as he does just about every year. And I want to talk about that, too, because not enough artists do that. Ladies and gentlemen, Alligator Records artist Selwyn Birchwood, welcome to Time Signatures. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. I appreciate you having me on, man.
We're going to delve into this new album in a few moments, Selwyn, but I want to get a little bit of your background if I can first. Where did your passion for music begin?
Man, it's one of those things. I always knew that I liked music. I don't know why. Ever since I was a little kid, I was always drawn to it. I look back and see cartoons that I would watch as a kid and shows, and I was always drawn to the ones where, there's people in a band playing, or, even as far back as like watching Back to the Future and seeing Michael J. Fox, playing Chuck Berry on that red Gibson guitar, and me mimicking that in the living room and stuff. And man, once I got into middle school, I decided I wanted to play an instrument, and I was actually going to join band. And my sister kind of politely nudged me and it said in not so many words that the band kids weren't exactly the coolest kids at the school. And she said, "Well, why don't you play guitar instead?" And I ended up doing that. And actually now, I kind of wish I would have joined band, because I, would have had a lot more theory under my fingers.
Sure.
And that type of thing. But yeah, man, I always liked listening to music, and then once I started playing, it was that was it for me, man.
Right on. Now, how about those early influences as you got deeper into playing guitar? Were there any bands or songs that you just had to play over and over as you were learning the instrument?
Well, when I was first, starting out, I was just playing whatever was on the radio, and
Right on.
there wasn't that much stuff available. The internet was still kind of in its infancy, and I would still buy just CDs and try to pick up what I could off of them. I'd buy the guitar magazines, because at the back of the guitar magazines they'd have some tablature that teach you how to play some whatever popular songs and that type of thing. But it wasn't even until I got about 4 or 5 years in playing, when I was about 17, before I really heard any blues music. And
Right on.
the same year that I started getting into blues, I caught Buddy Guy at House of Blues Orlando.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, I didn't know what I was in for, but it affected me so much. I said, whatever this is, man, I'm pointing at the stage in my head and said, whatever this is, I don't know what it is, but that's what I like. That's what I want to learn. That's what I want to do. And, it's a kind of crazy thing, because it feels like I've gone full circle since then. It was almost, because I still have that ticket stub from that concert, and it was almost 20
Wow.
years to the day. I went to go see Buddy Guy at the Dr. Phillips Center, the big kind of theater of performing arts over in Orlando in 2022. And I still have
Okay.
the ticket stub. I think it was August of 2002 when I first saw him, and kind of found my calling. And then in September of 2022, I was walking on stage to actually sit in and play with Buddy himself at that show, man. So it's kind of
Man.
a crazy full circle thing for me.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, Selwyn, at the age of 19, you met a gentleman by the name of Clarence Smith, or as he was professionally known, Sonny Rhodes, another veteran blues man originally from Texas. How did that introduction come about, and how did his mentorship help shape you in those early years?
Well, actually, he was a neighbor of a friend of mine when I was in high school, and my friend always say, my neighbor's got a blues band, and I'm thinking it's a bunch of drunk guys in some garage somewhere, and it turned out to be an internationally touring blues man, and he
Man,
brought me one of his CDs to school, and uh, played a couple notes on it, and I heard the lap steel and heard him start singing. And I said, I don't know who this is, but whoever it is, you have to introduce me." And it took about 6 months for me to actually get a hold of him because he was on the road and crazy busy schedule in and out of town like my schedule is now. And I took a guitar over to go see him and played about half a song, and he stopped me and just said, "Son, do you have a passport?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'm going to take you on the road with me." And within 3 or 4 weeks, I thought he was just blowing smoke, but within 3 or 4 weeks he had me on the road touring with him all over the
wow.
US, all over Canada. And he didn't keep me away. Most of the time the band leader is in one place and doing business, and the rest of the band is out doing their thing. And he had me right by his side when we're getting paid. He had me, you know, I would wake up in the morning and it was still before GPS and that type of thing. So we wake up in the morning and sit in the van and be looking at an atlas and, kind of plotting our way,
Yes, sir.
how to get from point A to point B. And, I'm glad that I kind of came to it the hard way because I've got a lot more of a different outlook on it. And I feel like it's really that more old school outlook and miles that I had, and seasoning that I had on me that, even though I was young when I started doing my own thing, I wasn't green and people really couldn't make sense of that. And it's because I had already been doing it. Our first tour, we
Sure.
started in Orlando, Florida. Our first show was in Calgary, Alberta. And I'm talking about 88 hours straight through,
Oh,
no stopping to sleep in hotels, no nothing. Uh, you
man.
know, Drove until I couldn't see straight. I didn't know that you could actually drive and be so tired that you hallucinate. And I learned real quick on that tour, man. And the first show we did was a festival in Calgary, Alberta, and that really set me off. And a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I've got this kid. He's 13 or 14 years old, and he plays Stevie Ray Vaughan note for note. Can he sit in with you at the festival?" And I want to support the kids coming up, but at the same time,
Right.
it's like, you want to keep them hungry so that they learn how to hunt and how to eat. Because I'm coming from a different place. I had to drive in a van 88 hours to get to my first festival stage, man.
That's
And
crazy, man.
that's just the point of view that I'm coming from.
Yeah. And I mean, you stayed with him for 4 years, so it's clearly you had some good times, good mentorship with him, and probably learned quite a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, man, I learned everything there was to learn, all the good and of what to do and in some cases of what not to do. So when I got my band together, I remembered the things that I didn't like so much when I was a sideman and I try to make sure that that's not going on in my band sort of thing.
Right on. Yeah. In 2012, you competed for the first time at the International Blues Challenge in Memphis. Talk about that experience, if you would. What was it like for you? And had you been to Memphis even as a casual attendee before?
Yeah, actually, that was my second time, and the year that we won was actually my third time competing in the
Oh,
IBC.
wow.
IBC. But I was, very, very young, and I think I must have been 22 or 23 or something like that. Well, actually, Yeah, I was about 21 or 22 the first time I was up there. And the third time was definitely going to be my last time, regardless of anything that happened, because it just, I play music because I love it. And I play blues because I love it. I get a feeling off of playing music that I figure if I feel something off of it, maybe I can translate that to the other people to come out to the show and feel something off of it, and that's the reason why I do it. To be up on a stage, and every time you're on a stage, people are going to be judging you, but it's a different thing when you look out and you literally have people with a pen and paper, stone face, just staring at you and literally judging you in those competitions. So it's definitely a very different kind of a beast, man. But it was a necessary. I don't want to say evil, but it was a necessary kind of a task and an opportunity that I was able to really take advantage of. And I always said that, as I'd see people win year after year, I kept saying, if I had that opportunity, I'd be able to make something of it. And when we won, I wasn't home the one day before I was on the phone and in my email, hunting down talent buyers and trying to let everyone know that we won and that, we're road tested and road ready. And, we got after it, and I haven't stopped touring since, in a world where a lot of times winners of that competition, even, you might hear about them for a few months after the competition, that you kind of don't see their name anymore. And,
Yeah.
I feel like I was one of the ones that came out of that and then got signed to Alligator Records. We performed in 24 countries since then. I've released, I think, 6 albums for Alligator Records. I've
Wow.
won 2 Blues Music Awards, and even though I was already, like I said, definitely not green after going through the school of sunny roads, uh, I was able to really take all of these opportunities to try to push it as far as I could on it.
What did Sonny have to say about that when you won that competition and you started getting out there?
He was super proud of me, man. And
I bet.
when we got out to the West Coast, he would surprise me at my shows when we were playing in California. It's the last time I saw him, I was playing at the Biscuit and Blues Club over there in San Francisco, and we did 2 shows that night. So we finished the one show, and I'm running through the dressing room to get upstairs to the merchandise, and he was sitting there backstage and was listening to the whole show. And just kind of tripped me out, and I gave him a hug, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go try to move some of this merchandise, but do you want to play?" And he came and sat in with me for the second show and
Wow.
sang and played his lap steel. And but yeah, he was always super supportive of me. When I got on the road to all these blues festivals and stuff, that's the way it was with all of the older musicians. So I felt like I found really my place and a home in this music, and all of the older musicians that I looked up to so much, uh, guys like Michael Burks and Kenny Neal and
Oh yeah.
um, Guitar Shorty and Bobby Rush and all of these guys that were already out there doing this for decades. They really, took time out with me to try to encourage me and try to help me out along the way. Joe Louis Walker is another one that was a huge
Yes, sir.
influence and inspiration for me. And they were all right where I wanted to be. And I feel like it's almost been sort of a bait and switch from the way that the scene looked when I started in Sonny's band compared to the way it is now, because it was all those real OG sort of old blues musicians. And these days, I mean, you've got a cross between a lot of just kind of rock musicians or musicians from all kind of other fields that, this is their fourth career attempt trying to do this. They had some hit in a pop world somewhere 30 years ago and then decided to cross over. It's like, oh, I'm a blues person now. And this is one of those weird genres that everyone's like, oh yeah, that's great. They were famous. And they
Ye-
instead of kind
Yeah,
of questioning the motive and credibility of it.
it's interesting to me because the blues, like no other genre, seems to be like the redheaded stepchild. And
Yeah.
yet you've got people like you just said that'll cross over and, look, I'm a blues man now or whatever. Um, with the situation from 2020 with COVID, with the influx of AI and all of the changes that have come with streaming like it is. And believe me, you're going to hear more about streaming at the end of this show. And I think you'll like the promo that I do. But how have these changes, because you've been out here a while, man, how have these changes affected the music business for you? Are you still passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah, man, it's just different. Thankfully, one of the coolest trends that has come along is just the resurgence of vinyl. And
Oh yeah.
I sell more vinyl than I do CDs or anything else, which is
Do you
crazy.
really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
I think last year or the year before it was $1 billion industry or something again for vinyl. And
Man.
it seems like the perfect storm of all the people that grew up doing the vinyl thing, and then also all of the younger kids that want to be hip and do the vinyl thing. And
That blows
I
my
couldn't have
mind.
been
Yeah.
happier that that's the trend amongst the rest of this stuff. But yeah, the AI stuff is crazy. When the album came out, when all of my albums come out, I check the charts and stuff. And the last two albums that I had were able to make it to number one on the Billboard Blues chart. And with this album, it debuted, I think, at number 13. And you know, it's competing against literal fictional artists and stuff, which is a crazy thing. And
That blows my mind.
I don't know where these artists are playing because I don't know where they're streaming or wherever they get the numbers from. But yeah, if you look on the iTunes Blues chart, the top 25 songs on that chart would be like AI artists, which means that it's literally fictional music, and
Yeah.
it's some manner of computer that they give it prompts and it spits out a song of, oh, okay, here's a blues song, and they release it and it's literally trending and charting, man. So it's something I could never have never have dreamed of competing with. It really, it seems like the antithesis of what this music is about, and all of the humanity and uh
There it is.
all of the struggle and all of the uh authenticity of where this music is coming from. And it's just being kind of overtaken by robots. It's just
You
a
know,
very different world, man.
I um I had a chat with Curtis Salgado recently, and one of the things we talked about was AI. And he's like, "Yeah, you can make the perfect blues song. You can have perfect pitch, perfect music, perfect this, but where's your connection? There is no connection with AI." And I'm sorry, I've got friends that watch this program. I have friends that are involved with AI. Um, as a tool, I think it might be okay, but people are making entire songs, writing, doing all of the music, everything with AI. Where's the creativity? I don't see it. I don't see it, man.
I
But
mean, I ask where's the creativity, even with a lot of the human artists, though, too, because in this genre, I when I was younger, it used to be insult when you were in a cover band. It's like you get made fun of. It's like, oh, you're in a cover band
and they're all
sort
over
of
the
thing.
place now, aren't they?
And yeah, man, and it's like that wasn't the goal. The goal, even if it wasn't even a good song, it's like, well, this is my song, this is my art. sort of a thing. And that's where I was always coming from. And now not only are cover bands super popular, you literally have tribute bands run amok. So between AI and tribute acts, like I don't even know which way is up anymore because it is just the complete opposite of everything that drew me to music, the complete opposite of what I think the kind of goalpost is of, creating art. And
Yes,
man,
sir.
it just is it's a wild landscape out here, man. So I feel like I'm like a black sheep running around because I play 100% of my own music. This latest album is my sixth or seventh album of all original material, and that's what I pride myself on is writing and performing my own music. So that way, when you hear me, you hear someone that sounds kind of like me, and, and that's by
Yeah.
design.
All right, Selwyn, let's talk about this aforementioned album of yours called Electric Swamp Funkin' Blues.
Yeah.
And it's not been out all that long, but talk about this project, man. How does this album compare to the others in your opinion?
Well, I mean, what I've been trying to do the whole time is find a sound I can more closely call my own sound. And with this album, I'm more confident than ever in saying that this is my sound. This is who I am. And every song is a different color and a different shade in the palette of that album. And people would always ask me constantly, if they see me holding a guitar, they say, "Oh, what kind of music do you play?" And I used to just say blues, but I don't think that really covers the scope of what we're doing. And I was in an interview, some 10 years back now, and they said, "Well, in 3 to 4 words, how would you describe your music?" And after a short pause, that's what I immediately came up with is electric swamp funk and blues. And I feel like that's the most kind of authentic way to describe what we're doing, man.
Right on. 10 tracks, heavy on the funk, and you really do have some fun titles in there as well. The title track, of course, but All Hail the Algorithm is one that pops right out there as well. And
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I was one of those guys that used dial-up back in the day. So that handshake kind of freaked me out when when it came through there, but it's a fun album. I mean, it really is. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, every song is supposed to tell a story, and I feel like it does that. I was trying to really take some sounds that maybe aren't supposed to be in a song and or let alone a blues song and really trying to mash it up in the pot to come up with something creative. And I feel like these days everyone is so satisfied and just emulating what was done in the 50s and the 60s, sort of a blues sound. And I've never really understood that because even guys like B.B. King and Freddie King, Albert King, all these guys, they didn't have just one sound. If you listen to them, their sounds were evolving with every decade
Yes.
as they went, and with what was current. BB wasn't playing just what he played in the 50s and the 70s. He was playing what was current in the 70s, and
Yeah.
um, I feel like this album is a reflection of that same sort of thing, even though there's a portion of the audience that wants to say, oh, if it doesn't sound like it sounded in 1964, then it's not blues, and that's fine. But I'm gonna be me. I'm a guitarist, I'm a blues lover, but I'm a lover of all kinds of music. And I try to create music that has some kind of imagination and creativity involved instead of just doing a paint by numbers or something like that and say, oh, look at this painting I did. It's like, well, that's just kind of drawing inside the lines of what other people already painted, sort of thing, man.
Well, I think that the trend these days is that you see a lot more of that creativity. You don't see people staying in the box, painting inside the lines, and they tend to wander here and there into different areas. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that personally. I mean, it's just me as a fan, but I don't think it makes you any less of a blues artist because you've got some stuff that's a little more funky, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have a couple favorite tracks on here. Of course, the title track, because if you sing it too fast, you can really get into trouble. Uh,
Yeah.
but I
It's,
also
it's
enjoyed
half the fun.
Damaged Goods. I think Soulmate might be my favorite on the album.
Oh,
And
cool,
then
man.
uh and then Talking Heads, because it's one of those timely social statement kind of tunes, yeah?
Yeah, man. I made a music video for Talking Heads as well, which really drove the point home out there.
Now I'm gonna have to
Uh,
go watch it because I haven't seen it yet, but I will find it.
yeah, go check it out. It's all on easy to find, man.
Okay.
But yeah, those are some of my favorites recording wise on the album, and yeah, man, I'm just really happy with the way that everything came out on there. This is my first album that I was the sole producer of. Even though I wasn't credited on my previous records because the producer said that he didn't share any production credits, even though I was doing a ton of the work and a bulk of the work. I wasn't tripping over titles. I wanted to get the best sounds that I could off of it. But with
Hell
this
yeah.
album, after trying to for about a year, trying to just kind of work with people, I decided to just start over and just produce everything myself. And that way I was able to get the sounds that I have on this album, where it really feels like the exact sounds that were in my head were able to be translated onto the album for the first time, man. So I'm really excited for everyone to get ears on it.
Indeed. So it looks like you've got a busy touring schedule like you normally do. And in fact, you're going to be in Caledonia near Grand Rapids on June 16th, which is coming up here in just a few days.
Yeah,
The
man.
irony of this appearance, and I want people to understand that, is that this is a free show. Now, I've looked at some of your other venues, buddy. Tickets run anywhere from $20 to $40 or more. So I
Yeah.
think the message here is that if you're in the Grand Rapids area, this is a show that you do not want to miss. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't encourage those that are coming to your show to please make sure you spend some cash on merch and such. For a traveling musician, it can truly be the difference between plenty and want. And what do you think?
Yeah, man. I didn't realize it was a free show. I mean, we generally haven't done a free show in I don't know how long, man. So I know sometimes they have festivals that have sponsors and that type of thing, so they're able to do it. But definitely, I haven't done a club date or anything like that that was free since I don't know how long now, man. So yeah, that's even cooler, man. No excuse or no other reason to not come out there.
I'll tell you what, Adam, I just met Adam recently and I had him on to talk about this season because when I
Yeah.
saw you on there and then I saw Rick Estrin in the Nightcats in August, I was blown away because we do music in the park around here in the greater Lansing area. We've got it in Lansing, we've got it in East Lansing, we've got it in Grand Ledge. It's everywhere.
Mhm.
Delta Township. That's the on par that you're going to be going into is, it's going to be a community concert night. And I
Cool,
think
man.
it's a wonderful opportunity for people to come out and see a national level act like yourself and also Rick Estrin later in the year. Um, but again, by all means, people, if you're coming out there, spend a few bucks, support these guys. I know they're
Yeah,
getting
man.
paid, but damn it, spend some money.
Yeah, man. Well, or
So,
just come listen and absorb the music, man. I'm good either way. I'm just trying to take my music and have it be heard and hopefully have
yes, sir.
somebody feel something off of it, man.
All right, Selwyn, where can we send people to learn more about you? Maybe buy some merchandise, CDs, or vinyl online, or to book you for a gig?
Yeah, if you want to find anything out about me, I've got everything on selwynbirchwood.com. You can catch me on all the social media avenues. You can go to alligator.com, has all of the links to buy all the music. And yeah, man, easy to find, man.
Indeed. Well, Selwyn Birchwood, it has indeed been a pleasure. I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Time Signatures. And I am going to see you on Tuesday, the 16th in Caledonia, sir.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you out there.
Very good. Stick around for 1 minute. I got to tie the ribbons on this, and then we'll say goodbye properly. Before we close this episode, I want to remind you that it takes an estimated 6,700 music streams to raise the equivalent of a $20 CD purchase. Believe it or not, those numbers are real. And so I've made it my policy to buy the music from the artist first, and then and only then I will stream from the various platforms. And as Brandon Santini says, buy the ticket, buy the shirt, tip the bucket, grab the CD or vinyl, even if you don't own a player. Maybe that shirt spends most of its life folded in a drawer. Maybe that record sits on a shelf. But to the artists who are out there putting miles on vans and chasing stages night after night, just like this guy, those purchases make a real difference in today's economy, where fuel and lodging costs are on the rise, while most performance fees are not. If live music means something to you, this is one of the best ways to keep it alive and returning to your town. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you very much for your consideration. And that wraps up this edition of Time Signatures. Once again, my thanks to our guest, Selwyn Birchwood, but also to you, for without you, none of this would be possible. Jim Ervin reminding you, keeping the blues alive is everyone's responsibility, but preserving the history of the blues, one story at a time, that's my mission. Until next time, so long, everybody.
This has been Time Signatures with Jim Ervin, presented by the Capital Area Blues Society in Lansing, Michigan. For more information on cabs, visit capitalareablues.org. You can find this episode and past episodes at lccconnect.org. The Time Signatures theme song, Michigan Roads, is used by permission and was written by Root Doctor, featuring Freddie Cunningham.
You know I'm trying, baby, driving up and down these Michigan roads, yeah.
Until next time, keep on keeping the blues alive.